All right, CW Flash fans. Now you're probably wondering why the heck this channel changed from Young Buck 888 to Iris West Haters Unite. To be honest, this channel really needs a lot of assistance with growing, and I'm pretty much trying whatever I can. So I know it sounds hypocritical because in my videos regarding the Flash, I talk about how, I'm not an Iris West hater and stuff like that before I go into videos about it. But those videos are the most popular ones on the channel in regards to, the Flash. I think the first or top #1 video is why do fans hate Iris West so much? But I stand by what I say in terms of, Candace Patton does an amazing job with what she's given. I feel like the writing for Iris West has been terrible over the past couple of seasons, season 4, season 3. I mean, there have been some moments where Iris West was a great character, great moments with her in terms of development or her with Barry. But overall, I feel like a lot of fans feel the same way when it comes to Iris West not being a character. She's more of a plot device over the past couple of seasons. So I just want to let you know that this channel, despite the name, isn't going to be like all bashing Iris all the time, because as I said before, I cover all kinds of various topics on this channel, from anime to Pokemon, Dragon Ball, and other series as well. So don't just think it's going to be all Iris West hate all the time. So just wanted to say that before getting started. But in this particular video, we're going to be talking about the Flash in general, mostly about season 1. I want to just talk about my what drew me to the show to begin with. Now, I remember, I was still working at the call center at the time, and I think the Flash was around, I think it was not even halfway through season 2. I think we were maybe 6 to 7 episodes into season 2 of the Flash. And I know when I was at work, my coworkers just talked about, bro, I know you say you don't like Arrow because it's too much like Batman, you just watched 1 or 2 seasons. So I decided to give Flash a chance. I remember it was on Netflix, season 1. After like 3 episodes, I got hooked, and within maybe 2 to 3 days, I'd watch all of season 1. Then I was able to find the episodes for season 2 online, and I'm just like, oh my God, what have I been missing out on? So I want to talk about what drew me to the show to begin with. Now, I want to be honest, you might guess this based off the title. This show reminded me of Family Matters. I mean, if you don't call it Family Matters, you most likely call it Steve Urkel or whatever back in the day. But, I was born in 91, so I grew up watching, the TGIF block, if you will. Family Matters, Sister Sister, Sabrina, Teenage Witch, Step by Step, and the list goes on, But I want to just say, Joe West reminded me of Carl Winslow. Iris West reminded me of Laura Winslow. And then, of course, Barry Allen reminded me of Steve Urkel. And, I mean, honestly, it sounds cheesy, but that's pretty much why I got drawn to this show in the first place. Because, Joe West, just like Carl, is a cop. He's a strict father, but he loves his family. Iris West, a beautiful African-American girl. And, she's smart in her own right. She's very determined. And she has somebody that's known her since they were kids. I mean, Steve Urkel, if I'm not mistaken, knew Laura since kindergarten, somewhere along the lines of accidentally gluing his hand to her hair or something like that. And then after that incident, that's when the crush began for him, but it was never reciprocated. When it comes to Barry, I think Steve Urkel was like next door neighbors to the Winslows, but we never saw his parents on screen. But he was always at the Winslows' house, so he might as well live there, which he did in one of the later seasons of the show. I believe his family moved to Russia or something like that, but then the Winslows let him live with them. And when it comes to Barry, I don't know. I can't recall if Barry was next door to Joe West, but I do know that it was close, like on the same block or something like that. And of course, with the whole Reverse Flash killing his mother, then framing his father, his dad went to jail. And I think Barry, was about 8 or 10 years old at the time. So then he went over to live with the West household. So looking at the Flash season 1, I just saw the Family Matters dynamic in the show, and that's why I really fell in love with it. The fact that, you got this nerdy, next door neighbor guy who really has a crush on the girl next door, but she is, dating other people and whatnot. I guess you could say the main difference is that I think that Iris and Barry are much closer than Laura and Steve were during the seasons of Family Matters, but in some aspects, Star Labs turned into the transformation chamber, where Steve went from Stefan Urkel and Steve Urkel, who went back and forth, because, the show Family Matters kept introducing all these wacky inventions that it kind of became less about the family dynamic and more about what crazy invention is Steve Urkel going to create today. Because, well, it makes sense for the Flash because, well, it's based off a comic book series, Star Labs, and in some aspects, you could say that Cisco Ramon is more like Steve Urkel because he's the one that comes up with most of the wacky inventions. But at the same time, the Flash has a lot of heart in it. Not to say Family Matters doesn't, but when you really look towards the early season of the show, when Steve Urkel made his first appearance, you can tell the show was really about family dynamic, but it became overshadowed with Urkel mania, kind of like the Flash had too many speedsters or whatever you want to call it. But after about 3 or 4 episodes, I got hooked, and then I kept watching. And even though I wasn't a regular Arrow viewer, I remember episode 8, I believe, was the Flash versus Arrow episode, and just seeing Oliver come down on the rope and save what was it? I think it was Joe and the other cops from being shot. What was his name? Rainbow Raider, I think is what Cisco gave the meta of the week. The one who could bring out a person's anger. Like you just look into his eyes and he can bring out your worst emotions. And I remember when Arrow, he was in the Arrow outfit. He came down and saved everybody. He smiled and he's like, "Nice mask," and then he left. I was like grinning ear to ear, and then seeing the scene where Barry and Oliver are training when he shoots him in the back with the arrow. That was awesome because it really felt like one of the Power Ranger crossovers from back in the day. Where it's like the previous season, like oh, okay, we're going to have Dino Thunder, SPD team up with Dino Thunder. I'm like, yeah. And then we move to the episode before the finale where we have Firestorm and Arrow teaming up with Barry to face Reverse Flash. I mean, that was freaking awesome. I mean, in my opinion, that it was one of the best finale fights ever. I mean, Barry did fight Reverse Flash in the actual finale of season 1, but Barry literally had no chance, and Eddie had to kill himself. But in terms of like a team up fight, I think that was definitely the best fight of the series, in my opinion. The dialogue was on point. Honestly, the dialogue between Thawne and Barry before they even started fighting was my favorite part, but I'll do a separate video on that. But in any case, I just wanted to make this video on the channel just to express again that, even though the title of the channel is Iris West Haters Unite, that doesn't mean it's going to be all hating all the time, because I'm definitely going to talk about the good points of the show. Hopefully this brings more subscribers. Yeah, I admit it sounds like a marketing ploy, which it kind of is, because, well, you got to get 1,000 subscribers to even get monetized on YouTube now for any channel. So just know that when I make these videos, I'm not just making them to make them, I'm just making them because of quality, and see if we can get some followers on here. So with that being said, get the channel around, because the Flash returns on April 10th. We still got a couple weeks left. If you haven't done so already, I highly urge you to hit that subscribe button, and just let me know what was the reason that you got into the Flash to begin with, because don't get me wrong, I've always been a DC Comics fan, but I've never been the kind of person to follow a trend, like when everybody's doing something like, oh man, this movie was, or this TV show, or this video game. Sometimes I don't really follow the hype, because in most cases they fizzle out. I kind of like take a back seat, but then once everything kind of dies down, that's when I might take a peek at it. I'm like, you know what? Okay, this is actually pretty decent. So for me, it was the comparison to Family Matters. Did anybody else make that comparison, especially after listening to me talk about it? So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll talk to you later.